भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ।
Dear friends, we are now at the concluding section of the study of the Mundaka Upanishad. And at the conclusion, the author, Rishi Angirasha, is describing to you in a most inspiring manner, with examples, what is the state of a realized soul. What do I mean by a realized soul? A person who has brought himself out of the hold of this ignorance. Because of that ignorance, we identify ourselves with what we are not. A person who has been able to disidentify himself or herself with what one is not, in return has identified himself or herself with the spirit of this universe. The Brahman, the Atman, the Satchit Ananda Swarupam. A person who has identified himself with his true nature, how does he feel? What is his experience, the quantum of experience that transforms his human personality, full of faults, failures, frailties and follies, how he or she has transformed her human personality into the divine. What happens to them? How do they feel about it? These are the 5 shlokas that the Upanishad describes at the end of the study of this Upanishad, the Mundaka Upanishad. Of those 5, we have studied the first one, Samprapya Yenam Rishaya Jnana Tripta Jitatmana Vitaraga Prashanta Te Brahmalokeshu Paranta Kale Paramrita Parimuchanti Sarve, that they become so one with all. That is, their identity of who they are is not limited by time, not limited by space, not limited by causation. They are permeating the whole cosmos. There's not a speck of space or an iota of time where they are not. They have identified themselves with the spirit. Atma Vastu, Brahma Vastu. The word Atman is generally used as my true original nature. But when I say my true original nature, as of now, before achieving that state, I limit myself with things which we have identified with, which is not my true original nature. And this Jivatma, the limited individuality, merges with Param Atma, the sublime, the essence of the cosmos. This is one aspect. Then they say, what do they say? Vedanta, this is the next one. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartha Sannyasa Yogat Jataya Suddha Satta Te Brahma Lokeshu Paranta Kale Paramrita Parimuchanti Sarve. I made a mistake in quoting. In the previous shloka, the last line is Te Sarvagam Sarvata Prapya Dhira Juktat Mana Sarvam Eva Avijanti. And here, Te Brahma Lokeshu Paranta Kale Paramrita Parimuchanti Sarve. They become a part and parcel, the whole of the spirit of this universe. Then he gives you another example. That is, Gata Kala Panchadasha Pratishta. The human body with which I am attached today, I say it is my body, I say it is my life, I say it is my mind, my intellect. I am identifying myself with this body-mind complex. When they realize that ultimate existence, all these 15 elements, Pancha Prana, Pancha Karmendriya, Pancha Gyanendriya, 5 pranas, the vital life forces, divided and expressed in 5 different forms. Pancha Prana, Pancha Karmendriya, Hasta, Pada, Pani, Upastha, Payu, the active organs of the body, and the sensory organs of the body, Chakshu, Karna, Nasha, Jihva, Tacha. All of these 15 elements with which I am fully identified, I very willfully say, thank you ever so much, my dear friends. I am very much obliged to you. You have helped me to reach the goal. Now please kindly go back to your original sources, the 5 elements of the world: earth, water, fire, air, ether, Shiti, Up, Teja, Marudbom. I thank you and I request you to go back to your original sources. And I become absolutely free. Gata Kala Panchadasha Pratishta Devascha Sarve, the presiding deities, that is light and so on and so forth, light, sound and etc., they go back to their places. Karmani Vijnanamayaschamatma, that Jivatma who was attached to his karma, he now knows it is a dream. And I have woken up from the dream. I know I am that and nothing else. Anadi Mayaya Shupto Jiva Yada Prabuddhate Ajamasapnamanidram Advaitam Buddhate Tada. In Gaudapada Karika, in the Mundaka Karika, this position has been mentioned in a more graphic manner. Anadi Mayaya Shrupto. I am asleep in the domain of Maya. Asleep means I am not aware, I am dreaming. The dream is a reality for me when I am dreaming. As long as I am under the thumb of Maya, I am under the suppression of Maya, this dream appears to be real. When I wake up from the dream and I say, the dream is unreal, this is my real nature. Jiva yada prabuddhate. When a person leaves his jivatmahood and merges with Paramatma, what happens? Ajam, asapnam, anidram, advaitam buddhate tada. At that time, he knows, I am birthless, therefore I am deathless, therefore I don't mutate in 6 different forms, and I am never asleep anymore. Atandra Chaitanya, I am ever awake of my true original nature. Devasya sarikibale karmani vijnanamayascha mahatma pare abhyaye sarve eki bhavanti. And then the 4th one is Jatha Nadya Sandamana Samudri. We have described it in great detail, but today is the concluding talk, so I am now revising this and conclude with the study of the last descriptive shloka and 2 concluding shlokas. Jatha Nadya Sanjamana Samudri. The character, the essential character of the river is a flowing mass of water. I call it a river. Essentially, it is nothing else but a flowing mass of water. And that flowing mass of water is contained by the left bank, the right bank, and the bed of the river. The volume of water that is constantly flowing, contained by the left bank, the right bank, and the bed, and it flows into the ocean. That is the destination of all rivers. Either they merge with each other or ultimately they merge with the ocean. So he gives you an example. A mass of water that is known as a river. It is contained in 2 banks and a bed. What happens to that mass of water? It doesn't evaporate like camphor. It goes and merges with the ocean water. Its right bank and left bank and the bed has disappeared. And it is mixed up with the ocean water in such a manner that it is a part and parcel of the ocean. There's nothing to retrieve that mass of water from that ocean. You can't retrieve. It is mixed up. You have completed your journey of search and you have merged with that. We have in great detail studied this. Now today is the last one and it is conclusive. He is now concluding. Let us read the shloka first and then we will get into its essential meaning or the substance, the substantial meaning of it. Saja havai tat brahma paramam brahma veda. Sa ya havai tat paramam brahma veda. Few words arranged one after. Saja, he who. Ha and vai, these are the two words. Ha avadharane, vai prasiddhe. It is very well an accepted conventional truth. It is very well accepted conventional truth. What is that conventional truth? Paramam Brahma Veda. He who knows that Supreme Brahman knows how, not in a subjective and an objective manner, knows by being and becoming one with it. Please try to understand. This is what happens in translations. Knowledge is to know. Knowledge is the means to know, or that generates through a process of knowing, where you are the knower, the object of knowledge is the object, and there's a process of knowing through your sense organs and your brain. All these are involved, but difference between the eternal knower, the subject, and the object that is being known is also eternal difference. Is Brahma Jnanam, knowledge of Brahman, at the same? No. That is abhakti. That is, you become one with that. Your individual, separate identity with which you have lived all through, your passport identity and your biodata. That is how you introduce yourself in the world. That hold of that identity disappears and you experience oneness with the divine. Experiencing and knowing. Jnanam is knowing and Vijnanam is experiencing the oneness, the indivisibility. Sa, he who, sa ya, he who, it is an unshakable traditional conviction, havai, tat paramam brahma veda, tat, that sublime Brahma, Veda. Veda means Vijnanam, experiences. Sajaetadvai paramam Brahma Veda. Brahmaiva bhavati na asya abrahmavit asya kule abrahmavit bhavati. What does it mean? It means he who has, by all the procedures that has been mentioned before, the disciplines and attitudes and procedures, whereby you are shedding all the wrong identities with which you have surrounded yourself. You have been shedding them. And confirming your real identity. So what happens? Sa Brahma eva bhavati. he becomes one with Brahman. The separateness which is the cause of worldly knowledge, I am, the chair is. I know the presence and existence of the chair which is separate from me. That is knowledge based on subject and object separateness. Vishaya and Vishayina. I am the knower, that is the object of my knowledge. And this difference remains. This is the worldly knowledge. Now what is the other knowledge? Brahma eva bhavati. Brahma eva bhavati. He becomes one with Brahman. So there is no separateness, no distinction, no division. You know and identify Sat Sarup, Chit Sarup, Ananda Sarup, Satchidananda Sarup Atma, the essence of the cosmos. You merge with that. Now, he speaks metaphorically. What happens to that family? A family which has produced such a giant. The impact of that personality in that family is such that the tradition of the family is steeped with this knowledge. Therefore, in that family, abrahmavit asyakule na bhavati. That a person who does not have that faith, does not have the belief that is a doable, attainable, achievable, performable. Because my grandfather or so and so has done it in his life. The impact of that performance, of that realized soul, is so strong in that family that in that family the impact of that realization is such that a non-believer will not be born in that family. It's a metaphoric statement, that is, the family tradition is steeped with this idea. People make many interpretations of all this. Let us keep our common sense alert. As it is, a head of a family is of a sterling character. The impact of that strength of character prevails on all the members of the family. This is what is being said here. That in that family, abrahmavit asyakule na bhavati. A person who is doubting, who has not that conviction, what is that? It is doable, it is performable, it is achievable, it is attainable. That conviction saturates the whole family tradition. This is what is meant by, in his family, a doubting Thomas is not born. Because there is no question of doubt. Right from the birth, they are fed with these ideas. Nasya vritkule bhavati. And what happens to that person who reaches the goal? Tarati shokam, tarati papmanam, guha grantibhyo vimukto, amrito bhavati. Oh, dear, what an expression. And what happens to that man who has etat param brahma veda? A person going through all that rigmarole that has been mentioned before, that person reaches that desired goal. What happens to him? Tarati shokam. The very concept of misery, very concept of sadness, very concept of unhappiness disappears from him. You know how? As of today, I am absolutely saturated with the concept of sadness. And I can quote 1,000 situations where I felt sad. And I felt sad. At that point of time, after realization of my true original nature, etat paramam brahma veda, having achieved that goal, tarati shokam. That is, you come and tell me, I am very sad. And that word sadness or sad does not click here. What language are you speaking? I don't understand. That is the total removal of the concept of sadness from your understanding. He is ever floating in an ocean of Satchidananda bliss. Satchidananda Shuke Bhashi. He is floating in that. The word sadness, the very word which was a part and parcel of your character, your personality, has disappeared. And when you come and tell me now, I am sad, I cup my ears. What did you say? You say, I'm sad. What language are you speaking? I don't understand. Uprooting is to that extent. Similarly, the concept of vice and virtue. Tarati shokam, tarati papmanam. Papa is sin. They are complementary to each other. Shoka and harsha. Harsha is happiness. Shoka is sadness. Sin and virtue. Vice and virtue. They are dual. All those things which you were a victim of, they have totally disappeared. Disappeared to such an extent that you don't realize what is being told. You don't become a piece of clay, a pot of clay or a piece of wood. You don't become an inanimate object. But what happens to you? You see the hand of God everywhere. So you are responsive, but your response is so disciplined and corrected because of the end result of your wisdom that you are always in eternal joy. Tarati shokam, tarati papmanam, and guha grantibhya vimukta amrito bhavati. Guha granthi. Guha is this personality of yours. And as of now, this personality is knotted and knotted and knotted. There are thousands of knots there. Knots of fixations and complexes. Inferiority complex, superiority complex, this complex, that complex. There are thousands and endless complexes. All that was because of misidentification of yourself. Now you have identified yourself with your true original nature. And what is that true original nature? I am the divine. I am what I am. I have experienced it, but I can't describe it. Amrito bhavati. He goes beyond the chain of life and death. And what happens when this body falls off? Shakuni namiva akashe jale bari charasya jat padam jatha na drishyeta tatha jnanavatam gati. A bird flies in the sky. Does he leave any footprints behind? No trace behind. He is in there. Jale bari charasya jat. The sea creatures, a fish or an octopus or a squid, call it by any name, it keeps on floating. What? Does it leave any footmark? But it is. This is an example that pare abhyaye sarve eki bhavanti. And from the philosophical point of view, this Upanishad beforehand and explains, natasya prana utkramanti pradeepa nirvanavat parisamantat avatishthate. According to the Nyaya philosophy, the Indian school of logic, fire is an eternal element. It is everywhere, in the smallest microscopically invisible form. When several causes comes together, they gather and they form a flame. You say that is fire. It becomes perceptible. Now, you blow the wick off. You blow the candle off. Fire has disappeared, but the fire has merged with the ether. It is no more visible, but it is there. Parisama pradeepa nirvanavat parisamantat avatishthate. Natasya prana utkramante jalokavat. That is, he doesn't migrate from this body to the Sukshma Sharira, from the Sukshma Sharira to the Sthula Sharira again. That migration has broken. But he is everywhere. So this is the last description of what happens to a realized soul. And don't say realized soul, use the technical Sanskrit word of a Brahmavit. Don't say knower, experiencer of Brahman. And what is Brahman? His or her true original nature. It is not to be caught up from the clouds. It is not to be plucked like a fruit. It is your true original nature. Sajo havai etad brahma veda nasya brahmavet kule bhavati tarati shokam tarati papnanam guha grantibhya vimukta amrito bhavat. With this, dear, the Upanishad teaching comes to an end. 2 more shlokas left. Why those 2 shlokas are necessary? You, me and others, we are today studying the Upanishad because it has been handed over undiluted to us. Undiluted, unpolluted, uncompromised. Remember these 3 words. I do not know when Rishi Angirasa was born. I do not know when Shaunaka went and asked him this cardinal question. But I know through this book of ours that wisdom which is generated, I know when, from time immemorial, has been handed over to you and me and me and me. And I have heard it from my Acharya heard it from his Acharya, and that lineage has been maintained. Why? Because the handing over the parampara from one generation to other, when one hands over to other, the person is absolutely clear that this person is worthy. He is disciplined. That is the paramount goal of his life. He holds it as such, and when time comes, he gives it to the others. So the recipient of the wisdom who will hand it over to the other, the character of that recipient is being mentioned in the last but one shloka. Am I clearly understood, dear? That is how this wisdom, in an unpolluted, undiluted, in an absolutely unadulterated manner, is being handed over. Now, you have been exposed to this wisdom. First and foremost duty is you live up to it and achieve that goal. Having achieved that goal, when all these signs and symptoms are normal and natural with you, then you look out whom to pass on this wisdom, who will not spoil it. This is how the next shloka starts. Let me read the next shloka. Tat etat richa abhyuktam. Abhyuktam, don't make it is not eating. Abhiprakashitam. Abhyuktam. Abhiuktam. Abhiprakashitam. It has been explained to you as crystal clearly as possible by these mantras. Richa is mantra. And what is mantra? Tatta Garbha Shabda. It's absolutely fantastically fascinating. Mantra is that a word. It is a word. It is a Shabda. You pronounce it. But it is totally saturated with undiluted wisdom. Though it's a word. And all that you have studied are words. But these words have given you a complete understanding from where you are, how you get along, how you go about it, and how you reach the goal. And a touchstone has been given to you to find out for yourself whether it is self-deception or realization. So, this mantra, which is found in this Atharva Veda and the part of this Upanishad known as Mundaka Upanishad, as sharp as a razor, if you study it, ignorance about your true original nature will be shaved off clean. Abhyuktam means abhiyuktam, abhiprakashitam. Explained to you with rock-solid conviction, crystal clear conviction. Therefore, kriyabantam shrotriya brahmanishta. You will tell them to those persons who carry on with the duties of their life. Kriyavanta, the do's and don'ts and the moral ethics of life, they follow it absolutely sharply without any, I would say, hesitation. Kriyavanta, Shrotriya. What is Shrotriya? Shrotriya is a person who listens, Shruti, who listens and listens with such an attention, he holds the meaning. Not that you hear from this ear and goes out of the other ear. No, it enters and it helps here. It doesn't go out. That is Shrotriya. And Brahmanishta, though he is in this world, though he has not achieved the goal, but only sole desire of his life is to reach that goal. Brahmanishta. He has no other goal in life, no other position that he aspires for in his life, but to be one with Brahman. Now you see the responsibility of a listener. What are the disciplines that he has to follow in life to be a worthy receiver of this Richa mantra, which is being abhi-uktam, abhi-prakashitam. It is being absolutely spread before you. That is, the teacher is being told, don't cast pearls before the swine. A pig does not know the difference between dirt and pearl. Don't cast pearls before the swine. Be very choosy, be very, very, very discriminative whom you are passing this wisdom to. He has to be Shrotriya, he has to be Brahmanishta, he has to be Kriyavanta. Swayam, he himself, Juhate Ekarshim Sridharanda. Swayam Juhate Ekarshim Sridharanda. This is something which we really do not know the meaning of it. All we know, Ekarshinama Homam. There are various types of homams performed. Homams performed with a desire to be fulfilled. Ekarshinamam homam. He must be performing that every day. We can very well surmise the topmost desire in his mind is to be experiencer of Brahman. Ekarshim Shraddhayantaha Tesham Etat Eva Etam Brahma Vidyam Vadeta. To such a person, Kriyabanta, Shrotriya, Brahmanishta, Ekarishinama, Homam Acharanta, who continues to do that, please confine this wisdom to be handed over to them. Now let us be modern, let us be practical and commonsensical. What does it mean? It means these words of wisdom should not be told to people who are not interested to be and to become. Let us confine ourselves to that. It has to be passed on as a parampara, as a flow from generation to generation. Be very choosy. Pass on all this wisdom, which is to be found in this mantra, to people who are self-disciplined, who do this, who do that, and etc., etc., etc. To them, the paramount goal is to be one with Brahma. Shirobratam vidivat jastu chirnam. Chirnam is acharaniyam. Those who have another word is being here, Shirobratam. You hold fire under your head. That, I am told, is a way of life. In my childhood days, I have seen one or two who have done it on a yoke or on a steel plate or a mud plate. They are burning charcoal and hold it on their head. The heat they try to tolerate. So Shirobratam, just to Chirnam, those who have performed this. In short, dear, apart from all these so-called not very well understood and defined in the present age, we have forgotten it. At least I do not know. There may be somebody deep in the studies know what is Archina Brata, what is Shiro Brata. I would know. But the main theme is a person who is totally dedicated to achieve this wisdom, and he is prepared to pay whatever price it needs to be paid to reach that goal. You must speak to such a person so that this wisdom is not tarnished, is not polluted, is not tainted, not adulterated. It goes in its pure form from generation to generation. This is what is known as Sampradaya Rakshanam. You have to protect this generation to generation flow of this wisdom of the Upanishads. And then the last shloka number in sequence 65, and the last shloka, 11th of the second chapter of the third Mundaka. Tat etat satyam rishi angira purovacha naitat achirna brato adhite. Namah paramarishibhyo, namah paramarishibhyo. He says here, look, tat etat satyam. This reality, this description of truth and reality, is eternal. You can reach it, you cannot outgrow it. On atikramya jnanam satyam. You can merge yourself with that idea, you can't outgrow the idea. It doesn't fall back. You lose your identity in that. Etat satyam rishi angira Purovacha. He has explained it because he is now concluding with the introduction. Shaunaka Havai Mahashala Vidivat Angisham Prasvacha Kasminnu Bhagavo Vigyate Sarva Vidam Vigyatam Bhavati. He went to ask a rishi, and that rishi Angirasha has explained to all of us how it is to be understood intellectually and how by self-disciplining, correcting your own personality, how can you outgrow your limitations and be one with the divine, the Brahman. And he says, please don't pass on this wisdom to a person who is not a dedicated, and because of his intense dedication, he is qualified to receive. He who does not have that dedication should not be spoken about. He will make fun of it. He will reduce the seriousness, the sanctity of this teaching. Namah Paramarishibhyo, Namah Paramarishibhyo. I bow down to those lineage of rishis from whom I am the blessed creature to receive this wisdom. Namah Paramarishibhyo, Namah Paramarishibhyo. With these few words, dears, we have completed the study of the Mundaka Upanishad. This is now available to you. Please make use of it, because more you repetitively listen, more you try to assimilate it and put it into practice, the better for you. You will make spiritual progress, and by God's divine will, you may achieve that goal in this life, subject to the intensity of the urge to reach that goal. This is what it is. Tibra Samveganam Asanna. It is imminent for the people who have a deep, intense urge to reach that goal. And we bow down to the teachers of this wisdom. So, dears, we close the study of the Mundaka chapter, having completed the whole Upanishad, and there will be no Saturday class for quite some time, though the Bhagavad Gita class will start again after this Christmas break, this winter break, on the 6th of February at 9:30. I have not yet made up my mind whether I will start another text or not. Please allow me a little time to think over. From 6th of February, we'll have only one class of the Bhagavad Gita, a quick revision of the whole study. Thank you, dears. Thank you ever so much. May God bless us, and may the study of the Mundaka Upanishad be fruitful to us so that we can reach the promised goal. May it ever be so, is my unending prayer for all of you. Thank you.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.